agitated times. The stories of these families reveal a crack in the history of the modern world. The heroes of my story are the women and men of three families, Asherov, Mizrahi Ephrati, and Adirim, whose destinies crossed paths in Central Asia and Palestine during the turbulent 19th and 20th centuries. The Asherovs were merchants who traveled from Samarkand in Central Asia to Palestine. The Mizrahi Ephrati family moved around the Eastern Mediterranean, and the Adirim family escaped from Riga via Central Asia again to Tel Aviv. Their stories extend through time and space, starting in 1863 with the birth of Zion Asherov in Samarkand, and ending temporarily today in the London kitchen of his great-great-granddaughter, me. My ancestors were not the major players in global events, and their stories were largely left at the margins of history. They were, in their own different ways, ordinary people who lived in extraordinary times. A few of them were important community leaders, like my great-great-grandfather Zion Asherov. Others, like my great-grandmother Joya Mizrahi, lived a much more private existence. Some, like my grandmother Tova Adirim, showed unusual bravery in a time of great suffering. What unites these unsung heroes are the life-changing histories of displacement that they lived through, which filtered into the food they cooked for their families and into the recipes that became their legacy. Together, their stories tell a different history of the modern world, shaped by familial bonds, personal relations, memories, and emotions. Air and Love is a history of the modern world in which migration is the rule rather than the exception. My ancestors traveled to do business, to see the holy city of Jerusalem, to pursue adventures, or to start a better life. Moving around was, for them, normal life. Jewish migrants like my ancestors created strong cultural, economic, and political bonds that connected the Russian, British, Ottoman, and Habsburg empires. After imperial dismemberment, these territories were divided into dozens of new nation-states. Today, people rarely notice the important threads linking Samarkand, Jerusalem, and Riga, cities that appear to belong to completely different cultural, geographic, and political spheres. These cities were, nonetheless, part of an interconnected trans-imperial world, a world that anticipated many of the cultural and economic aspects of contemporary globalization. The stories of my family's past migrations show the importance of these forgotten connections that forged a world of diversity and plurality, a world where people could feel at home in multiple places. After the First World War, with the rise of nationalist and xenophobic ideologies, states started to monitor and close their borders. Stricter criteria for citizenship and residence expressed a hostility towards foreigners, migrants, refugees, and anyone who supposedly belonged elsewhere. Despite these limitations on migration, during the Second World War, the ancient amber, silk, and spice routes were revived by flows of people escaping violence and persecution. Millions, my family among them, were forced to seek a new home. Then as now, mobility rendered people particularly vulnerable to all sorts of harm: bureaucratic cruelty, violent attacks, hunger, and disease. In my family, stories of salvation through displacement were intertwined with traumatic memories of grief for lost children or relatives left behind. After 1945, new international organizations were set up to repatriate or resettle millions of people. New legal treaties and agreements defined the rights of migrants, displaced persons or stateless people, refugees and asylum seekers, as states sought to limit and control cross-border mobility. Mass migration became the phenomenon that defined the modern world. Writing the history of migrants from their own viewpoint is not easy.